Getting too low below the belt. Some say no, some say yes. Take a listen.
I was very nervous.
No woman should be subjected to it. It was an assault.
He starts to bite on my top lip, and I try to pull away from him.
Well, that was the Trump ad campaign hoping to undermine Hillary Clinton by attacking her husband Bill and alleged mistreatment of women that goes back, well, some of these incidents to the early 1990s. So the question is, has Donald Trump gone too far, or will the rhetoric from actually both sides only get worse from here? Joining me now, Michael Maslansky, Richard Goodstein, Boris Epshteyn, and Kristen Tate, the author of Government Gone Wild. Let me start with you, Michael. You're the guy who polls these kind of things. I know this has been everything, all conventional wisdom has been turned upside down or on its head. What about the notion that you can go too far? Are these ads?
You know, I think we thought that Donald Trump could go too far for the first 6 months of this campaign, and we were proven wrong over and over again. I think we'll continue to be proven wrong. At the end of the day, there are not enough supporters of Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump to win either of them the election. And so this is going to be about who can rally the anti-Trump or anti-Clinton troops most effectively. And that means we go hard negative for a long time and see how we pick up the pieces.
So the so-called gutter is a bottomless pit this time?
I think if you've got Donald Trump on the one hand and Hillary Clinton on the other, the answer is yes.
But Kirsten, here's what people are saying. Women your age, they don't really know who Bill Clinton is. They don't really understand the baggage that he brings, and perhaps the notion that Hillary Clinton enabled some really ugly things to happen. And so how could she be a defender of women and be a sort of icon of feminism?
That's exactly right. You know, the media never talks about Bill Clinton's indiscretions, never talks about Hillary Clinton's role in this. So Trump is really doing the job of the mainstream media here by shining a light on this issue. And as you mentioned, Charles, young voters, particularly millennials, really don't know a lot about this issue. And I also want to point out how it's kind of funny that liberals always say we should, believe the victims of assault and sexual assault. But apparently all the rules are thrown out the window when it comes to Bill Clinton because they don't care about these sexual assault victims.
What do you think? I mean, you know the Trump family very well. You know Donald Trump sort of, plays. He's got a lot of advisors, but he does the things that he wants to sort of do. Is there anyone in his camp saying, hey, maybe this is going too far?
So there's a lot of thought that's put into these ads, right? And there's a lot of consideration. And the decision is this, that Bill Clinton is someone that Hillary Clinton said is going to be running the economy. He's going to be an ambassador to the world.
So in other words, he's fair game.
Well, the voters should know who they're getting, right? And they may have forgotten what happened in the 8 years when Clinton was president, not just the personal stuff, but also the economic downturn that followed because he really brought in a bubble. So this is the personal stuff, important to know, but also his failures as president.
Michael?
Yeah, I mean, I think the irony of this is that in some ways the New York Times brought this attack on with their article about Trump, which was an attempt at a hit piece that didn't really do a good job of hitting Trump all that effectively, and really opened the door to this whole debate in ways that it might have been opened anyway, but certainly gave Trump a reason to wanna really have a fight over this early on.
Now, Boris, you mentioned the bubble. Hillary Clinton actually has an ad out that sort of says that Donald Trump was excited about the bubble, was rooting for it to explode, and rooting against the average American. Let's take a quick look at that.
I sort of hope that happens because then people like me would go in and buy. If there is a bubble burst, as they call it, you can make a lot of money.
All right, now Boris is champing at the bit. I'm going to come to you one second, but let's bring in Richard Goodstein because he's a Democratic strategist. And Richard, again, this is going back pretty far. Well, maybe 10 years or so. Does this really help Hillary Clinton? Does it deflect from really, I would say, the other things going on with Bill Clinton certainly getting a lot more media attention?
I'd love to talk about what Boris said about reminding people of the 90s. Are we talking about the peace or the prosperity, the unprecedented job creation and economic growth and bringing people out of poverty?
I think.
No. Well, the fact is, the bubble didn't happen back in 1993 when Vince Foster committed suicide. We're talking about the whole 90s.
Thanks for bringing up Vince Foster.
Hey, Boris, I know. I love young people.
Love it.
I'd love young people to be reminded. Look, ask former Senator Alphonse Tomaso Colorado. Ask former Speaker Newt Gingrich. Ask former Congressman Rick Lazio. Hold on a second. I didn't interrupt you. Ask them how the campaign against Bill Clinton worked for them. You know, in some alternative universe, if Donald Trump wants to run against Bill Clinton for president, he should knock himself out. But all the evidence is when they do this, the polls for Bill and Hillary Clinton go through the roof.
Richard, you would say that Bill Clinton is fair game, though, no matter what in this election cycle.
I think that if Donald Trump wants to run this kind of campaign, look.
But is he fair game, yes or no? I mean, it's kind of simple.
This is a guy who appeals to racist, bigots, xenophobes, and
you go. Now, you just lost the whole crowd.
No. The fact is, nothing is too low. Of course he's going to do this. Why should we expect anything different?
I think that's a yes from Richard, right?
Okay, yeah. So Bill Clinton is fair game. So this is the path we're going down.
Right.
But ultimately, for the voters, I'm trying to make a decision here. At what point does Donald Trump pivot and start to tout his business success, his family, and those kind of things? Or, in other words, where do you start to figure out in the Trump camp, where do we sort of let this stuff go once we've proven a point and start to talk about the future and prosperity for America?
It's got to be a combination, and it has been. That's how Trump has won the primary, right? You saw the great town hall with his family talking about the strength of his kids and his great wife, but you're also seeing the ads. You have to attack your opponent. Let's be honest. As Republicans, we've spent way too long dodging the Bill Clinton issue. This is a candidate we have in Donald Trump who's not afraid to take on the Clinton machine.
Actually,
one second.
Yeah. And the Clintons, now there's info coming out about Terry McAuliffe, and he's being investigated by the FBI because of the shady Chinese money that's come into Terry McAuliffe's coffers. Guess what? Same money went to the Clinton Foundation.
Right, I think at least $2 million was pledged. Michael?
I got to say, Donald Trump never pivots because Donald Trump wins the election when he's on the attack. And if he's all of a sudden got to make a case for his policy positions or has to actually get in and defend his record as a businessman, he is much weaker than if he's on the attack. And so my prediction is that he just stays, he never becomes more presidential,
but he has
arguably even after he wins.
One second. I want to ask Kristen, as a millennial representative, the woman on this particular panel, is this what you want to hear? I mean, okay, it's one thing to be sort of enlightened about the past with Bill Clinton and perhaps the idea that Hillary enabled those actions, but do you want to know about your future? What do you want to hear?
Well, look, millennials, all voters, we love Trump's bulldog attitude. He's got to keep going after Hillary Clinton. As a woman, I'm offended that Hillary Clinton continues to play the woman card. It's very demeaning to continue to treat women like we are a subclass. You know, women care about the same issues as men, and if she continues to play this woman card, it's not going to work. It's already blowing up in her face. Trump should absolutely stay on the attack, and this ad was a good move, and I hope we see more like this from him.
He has given a lot of details on policy, though. Let's not forget that. It's important to note on foreign policy, economy, immigration. So you've seen
he's also thrown a lot of things out, though, in all honesty, Boris, that it's hard. Like, if you were asked the folks on Wall Street, what is Donald Trump's actual trade policies? They couldn't tell you 100% because a lot of things have been thrown out there. But I do want to ask Richard about the sort of Donald Trump is controlling the narrative. He is controlling the news cycle. And obviously, a lot more people are talking about Bill Clinton's indiscretions right now than Donald Trump in the housing bubble.
Correct. And you know when they were talking all about Bill Clinton's indiscretions? When his poll numbers went up and up and up, thanks to Newt Gingrich running the entire 1998 congressional campaign against Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. And for the first time in the history of the United States, the party of the White House, after 6 years, won House seats. So please, yes, please, let's keep talking about this.
98 was 20 years ago almost.
Yeah.
20 years ago.
I think, Michael, you're the expert. You follow this stuff. I think the rules have been rewritten. Also, I think people are extraordinarily dissatisfied with Washington, D.C. Again, you're right, Boris. 20 years ago, people just don't, they're tired. They're sick of it. They're sick of the inconsistencies, the false promises, the broken promises of Washington, D.C. And I think the Clintons have a big mountain to climb.
Big mountain. I mean, I say this from a communication perspective, the Clintons fundamentally misunderstand what this campaign is about. They have no idea right now how to attack Trump or even how to wage this campaign. If they're trying to wage it on the economy of the 90s, they're trying to educate generations who have no idea what they're talking about. It's a losing battle for them.
And just from a millennial's perspective, to add to that, we have been totally fed up with the establishment on both sides of the aisle. We're struggling with a bad job market. Clinton reeks of bureaucracy. She reeks of the status quo. Mexico. And that's why I've always said, Charles, I think that Trump has a real opportunity to grab some of the millennial voters from Bernie Sanders when he drops out, because he plays to that same outsider, movement that's going on.
All right, guys, let's leave it there. Coming up, New Mexico Governor Susana Martinez skipping out on Donald Trump's rally in her home state tonight.